We've finally found it. We're about 200 feet high, and it's a real live nest of baby chiropractors. And they're about to take their first flight. Any time now. I'll just give them a little hand. You had to have your hamster's leg amputated?
Yeah, absolutely.
How did that happen? Alright, it's Paul at InstantChiro, and today we're talking about leaving the nest with Simon and Jeanette Goff. Alright, well today we're talking about setting up clinics straight after leaving university and not having a chiropractic principal chiropractor, my apologies, above us to guide us, and both of us did that, didn't we? You worked for yourself straight after, and I worked for myself straight after, and so we're going to ask a little bit about this and about setting up in general, and that's why we've got the wonderful Jeanette Goff here, because I don't think any person actually sets up by themselves anyway. I mean, I set up by myself when I left university. I had a wonderful wife support me, had my whole family lend me money to buy the building and the equipment, and then all my mentors and friends like yourself to guide me. But yeah, I set up by myself. It was all me. Yeah. So how long have you been in business now, you two?
9 years in September.
9 years in September.
Well,
so our clinic's advanced quite a lot, actually. I think probably since you've last spoken to us. We only work a 3.5 day week now, which is awesome.
Yes.
And that was all to do with we took on board a mentor called Wendy O'Brien. I don't know if you've heard of her. She was a CA and just worked her way right up, and always stayed a CA and just went into management now. She's now just been headhunted by...
It's a healthcare company that own 10 multidisciplinary clinics around the Bristol area, including medicine, chiropractic, pharmacy, everything, all in one roof.
Yeah, and just headhunted her to bring them all in line together. So we've condensed our week, and we're seeing as much, if not more, than we were before in 3.5 days. Yeah, so just by changing diary times and stuff, so brilliant. Yeah, so she's helped us. So this is the first time we're doing a bit of a stint without a mentor. We've got rid of one very bad egg member of staff.
Two.
It's true what they say, you know, you have one bad CA and it'll bring a clinic to its knees.
Oh my goodness, you have no idea.
The energy that's there and the members of staff we've got now, we're like just pumped. Really, really exciting.
So that's awesome then. You've gone down to 3.5 days. What are you doing with the extra 1.5 days?
Oh, what aren't I doing? It's so much fun. I really felt, even 6 months ago, I was like, it'd be really nice when I retire, because then I can actually start going out on bike rides and running and doing my calling at church and spend more time with the family and just doing that.
Yeah.
We've gone on dates. I've been out to see my parents, been to the Lake District on my own. Yeah, just living.
When I went down to 3 days a week, because I did the whole... I asked my dad, I said, Dad, I think I'm going to go down to 3 days a week. And at the time, the clinic was really busy. I was doing 5.5 days when I promised I'd only do 5. You know how it goes. It builds up, doesn't it? Yeah. And he said to me, and I've got a wonderfully supportive dad. You know my dad is wonderfully supportive. And he said, you probably want to make money while it's there. And I was like, you're probably right. And so I stayed like that for another 2 years. And then I suddenly went, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And so I went down to 3 days a week, and I could have gone down to 3 days a week all that time ago and still made as much money, if not more. And me and Jen managed to go around the world and do all sorts of stuff. And in that couple of years where we did that, and yes, that was fantastic. So yeah, I fully support people going down. And every coaching client that I take on, I say 3 days a week is what you want to be at the most. And if you've got good associates, you want to be down at 2.5, 2. Yeah.
And it's just being ballsy. It's actually having the guts and listening to the mentors, because if you've done your research properly of who you're actually getting to mentor you, they have been right at the time where you are and experienced it, and they just know better than you, so just pay them to put you right. Do you know what I mean? They've made the mistakes, pay them to get you without putting you through those mistakes. So yeah.
I know we both had the same mentor at one point, and I can remember I paid for the mentor for like 6 months before I decided to do any changes that they told me to do. I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, I could have made it less painful. I know. It's a silly thing, really.
So we've had 2 other mentors prior to them, and I think each time you chat to someone, you glean a lot from them. And we felt the one prior to this, that we got as much as we could, and we were kind of plateauing. This one I was really impressed because she was a coach. She's taken qualifications in coaching and training people rather than just a successful chiropractor who's going to show you what they used to do.
And she started as a CA. So she started on day one, like even learning how to pronounce the word chiropractic or chiropractor. So she's learned right from the very, very bottom right up to traveling the world and doing all sorts of different seminars and talks. So for us, she's learnt the nitty gritty, so she knew her stuff.
Yeah. I often think this because I don't actually practice anymore. I just help other people practice. And sometimes you get the chiropractor say, well, what do you know? You're not in practice anymore. Well, I actually have a lot more time to help you. I've got 10 clinics that I practice, basically. You know, it's a strange thing. We have this opinion, I think, of what a chiropractic mentor should be. And we've both been mentored by some wonderful, the same mentor before. We both had brilliant Terry Chimes at one point. And I found them excellent. But at some point when their life situation changes, when they get too busy at clinic or whatever, sometimes that clash occurs and you're not their top priority because their clinic is obviously their top priority. And I think you said your mentor's name is Wendy O'Brien?
That's right.
Correct, yeah. So she's
sorry,
British. I was just saying she's British, so she understands the NHS system that we have, you know, things like that, whereas other mentors have been from different countries and, you know, don't quite understand the different technicalities that we have here in the UK. So yeah, Wendy O'Brien.
Yeah, I'll go look her up as well. She sounds like a perfect sort of person. And she's talked you into going down to 3.5 days a week. And what you've been doing with that time?
So the extra time, I before we did it, I just wrote this huge list of all these things that would be lovely to do. Spend more time with Jeanette, with the children, do my hobbies, cycling, running, visit my family, extended family.
Just living and breathing and being in the moment and making sure that all of this hard work we put in is coming to fruition. We're actually just not waiting until it's time to sell the clinic and then we can just sit back. We're just living
as we go.
Yeah, it's great.
I think you've hit on a couple of things there. I always say to clients, I want to make you more life, not more money. If you've got the same money or more money, that's great, but you want more life. You don't actually want more money. Because if you're a chiropractor, you're doing relatively all right anyway. You can buy anything you want. And I think more life is the key because we've shown that experiences are worth a lot more than money, and we experience it a lot happiness due to experience as opposed to money. And so we're chasing after the wrong things a lot of times in these seminars, you know, bam, 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 get new patients, yeah. Actually, you want to make the most of the patients you've got, not spend energy doing the spinal screenings and all that sort of stuff. You want to just go, yep, I'm in, I've got the patients, I'm keeping them, and I'm going to go out tonight and do some fun stuff.
Absolutely.
I went all over the world after I dropped down to 3 days a week, and it worked out great. But first, we're going to talk about your clinic. And you set up Calderdale Chiropractic Clinic. And what's your email? What's your web address? Your domain name?
It's www.calderdalechiropractic.co.uk.
And we're based in Strawberry Bridge in Halifax in West Yorkshire.
Fantastic. And you set up straight out of clinic. What was going through your guys' head when you did that?
Well, I was heavily pregnant when Simon graduated with child number 3. So my mind was elsewhere. So for the the first initial thing and their first initial thoughts and stuff, I just had to put all my trust in Simon to start off with. Yeah.
I'd heard too many horror stories of graduates leaving university, being promised X, Y, and Z, and not getting any of it, or starting and then the clinic goes bust. And I thought, do you know what? I think I'd rather pay a mentor, and I have control over that my work experience, than to go and work for someone else and I give all the control over to them.
I think when I think about that, I think of the have you ever read the 4-Hour Work Week?
No, I've put that on my wish list in Audible, so I want to get that.
Just get it. Just buy it right now. It's been a wonderful book. It's helped me out tremendously. But in it, it says you've got some freedoms. The freedom, if you really want freedom, you've got to be able to work when you want, where you want, with who you want, and how you want. And I think going into your own clinic and starting up yourself gives you a lot of those freedoms that you couldn't have anywhere else. And I bet you wouldn't work for anybody else now, would you? It'd be very difficult for you to work for someone else.
It'd be hard. The right person, I could see in years to come, if I wanted an easy life, that's one option. I'd rather have associates to take the load, but yeah, the right person maybe.
Yeah.
I would have come to work for you if you weren't far away from where I wanted to work.
I appreciate that. I'd have come to work for you as well. I was thinking, who could I work for? I could work for Simon. Yeah. So what process did you go through? Because you're in your own building now, aren't you? But you didn't have that to start off with, did you?
No, we through a good friend, we were introduced to some dentists who ran a private dental practice, and they said that we could rent a room. So we rented a room, used their receptionist, and we started with patient number 1. And we were there for about a year before the dental practice reception and car park were full of chiropractic patients, and the practice manager there was slightly a bit cross about that. So we knew it was time to look for our own building within a year. And so we were very blessed with our mentor's help to be able to buy a building that was for sale, that was about how far away?
100 metres.
100 metres from where we were renting. So we were able to keep all of our patients, and that was 8 years ago. And lots of renovations, T-bar, the whole thing. Yeah, it's brilliant.
In fact, we're going to talk about T-bar in a minute, just not because it's related to this podcast, but because I'm really interested in it. I did one on it not long ago. What did I say? I remember that time when you were going through this thing where they'd got too many patients coming to the dental clinic that were chiropractic patients. And I remember thinking, that's a very shallow thinking dentist, because if it was me, I'd be like, all these chiropractic patients, you get 10% off if you come to the dentist here.
Absolutely. And you know what? They were getting the thing that annoyed them is we'd arranged a contract and they got a percentage of what we made, but I was thoughtful enough to put a cap on it.
Yeah.
And we very quickly got to that cap, and we were earning him tons of money. The cap was really high, but he kept saying, "Oh, you should be paying me more money. You're having all these patients in, and I'm only getting this many £1,000 a month."
Yeah, but they were very gracious and kind, and they did start us off on good footing. So we are grateful to them. But yeah, it just grew too quick.
I know, I'm all railing on them. I'm like, yeah, well, short-sighted. I'd be like, yeah, let's do this and let's keep you going.
You're more of an entrepreneur than they were.
Yeah.
And so when you moved into this new building, was it difficult setting up? What fears did you have setting up, coming straight out of university? What fears did you have?
That people wouldn't come, because nobody knew who Simon Goff was. We'd moved to a completely different area. Marketing, how on earth do you get your name out there? How will we get patient number 1, yet alone patient number 2? And how do you keep the ball rolling? I think in our small minds, we decided that £500 a year would be enough for marketing. And that's because they don't give you marketing, classes at school. So that was our biggest fear, is would they come? We're going to build it. Are they going to come?
It's kind of like the field of dreams.
In looking back, one of the big fears I had inherited from the way we were taught was that every adjustment I could kill someone. You almost taught to fear everything you do, and if you take one X-ray, you'll give someone cancer, and just these crazy thoughts going through your head all the time, rather than just going, "This is amazing. Chiropractic changes lives," which is something I've come to be more confident in over the years. But at the beginning, I was like a bit hesitant to recommend and.
Yeah. I know it's the scary thing coming from, and a lot of chiropractic schools are like that. I think there's probably 4 or 5 chiropractic schools that I know of now that are actually pro chiropractic, because everyone else seems terrified of it. And I think it's because, and I don't want to offend anybody, because I enjoyed my chiropractic university, and I also hated it at the same time. But I think it's because they seem out of the loop a little bit, because a lot of them don't work anymore, or they stay very insular. They're forced down a route, like in the UK, they're forced down the British Chiropractic Association route. And that's a very medical-based association, whereas the United Chiropractic Association, the McTimoney Chiropractic Association, the Scottish Chiropractic Association, they're more vitalistic. They see the potential. And I think that fear stops us all from getting there. I was hampered probably for at least a year, if not 2, before I realised that chiropractic's absolutely awesome, and we can cure everything now. We can cure a lot of things, change people's lives. And I really wish that schools were more pro these days, but they're not anyway. So did you have any months where you nearly didn't make the bills?
All the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was my second degree as chiropractic, so we already borrowed a lot of money for that. We'd sold our house, the car, and lived off of equity. And then we just had to borrow so much money off of my dad. We borrowed money off of anywhere we could, any government credits we could get. And there were so many months where we just didn't have enough. And we just have to go, "Dad, can I borrow some more money?"
Yeah, or sometimes he'd ring me up and say, we have a little bit of I don't like going to the shops much, so we have a little bit of food storage in the house, just, tins and things like that. And but sometimes he would ring up and go, "Jeanette, we're just gonna have to live a little bit off the food storage for the next couple of weeks, because the big bills come out, or something's happened, we need the X-ray machine checking out again, or whatever." And it's just sometimes stuff crops up. So definitely there were those times where it's like, "Oh my goodness," So yeah.
I think I was very blessed, or not blessed, depending which way you look at it, because I took on like a £250,000 loan from the bank to buy the building when I left, and I remember thinking I hadn't even passed the degree yet, so I hadn't got the results. So I got like a backup plan. I was like, I'll try and hire somebody and they'll work there if I don't pass. And I remember, and luckily that first week onwards, everything got paid. But the fear's still there, isn't it? That fear of, and I think if you're going to build a business, it takes putting that equity in, doesn't it? You've got this huge, you've suddenly made it, and you've got some more money back. So let's now buy an X-ray machine that takes all the money.
Each level you've got to invest even more, and then it takes a while to pay off that, and then you invest a bit. Yeah, so we're finally, I think this year, if our plans go right, we should be paid off everything. Apart from money I borrowed from my dad. That.
But he forgets about that. There's a side note. Your dad's a GP, isn't he? Is that right?
Was a GP, retired about 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, to explain to a lot of us who listen to American chiropractors, a GP is a general practitioner, a medical doctor. Mm-hmm. And how did your dad feel? And we'll just take a side step here, just because we can. It's my show. How did your dad feel about you becoming a chiropractor?
Yeah, he was really good growing up. He really had the attitude. And I think this is important for chiropractors with kids. A chiropractor is a great profession. I'd love it if all 3 of my kids were chiropractors, but he had the attitude of, we love you because you're our son, and whatever you want to do, we'll support you. Mm. So that was great. They never felt like I had to be a medical doctor. And the more I've got into it, the more he keeps saying, you've made such the right decision. You've got so much more freedom. You can help people more. You're not constricted by the NHS. So he really likes the idea. And
Yeah, he's under care as well, and so is Simon's mum. In fact, she was up today, travelled about an hour to come and see Simon for some regular care. So yeah, that's it.
That's fantastic. Just going back to the other thing we were talking about, when you set up, how did you choose where you were going to set up?
So that's where I came in. So in Simon's final year, obviously, they have to be in clinic for a whole year, and they're basically told to say goodbye to their wives and girlfriends because it sucks the life out of them. So
did he manage to say goodbye to his wives and his girlfriends?
Yeah, he had to say goodbye to his
also girlfriends.
And so that was where I came in, because I knew that I wanted to play a part in the clinic, not being a chiropractor, but I knew that with my skill sets that I have from my degree, that I would be able to help. And so I started researching. I knew that there were certain points within the UK where I didn't want to live, and there were certain parts that were going to be okay. So I started looking at demographics. So I had a book and a computer, and for months I just went through researching all sorts of statistics, because looking at family life and the children and schools and things like that, to the different demographics of how many osteopaths are in the area, how many chiropractors, private physiotherapists, all sorts of different things. And that's when we had some ideas of where would be a good place. So when he graduated, we could start driving up and looking at these different places. And that's when we fell into the lap of the friend of ours, the dentist, that showed us where the other dentist was. And so it was a lot of research and a lot of talking, because we already had 2 kids and one on the way, and this was where we were going to settle. So it was a lot of research and a lot of planning.
What demographic what population density did you decide on for your clinic compared to how many osteopaths, chiropractors? Because I have a number that I use, but
off the top of my head, Pod, I couldn't tell you, but I do still have all of the books. I literally can't remember, but I do remember Simon saying words to the effect of, because I was like, there's already one chiropractor 10 miles away, we can't go there, or there's 2 osteopaths here, and he's like, Jeanette, there's, everybody has a chiropractor, they just don't know it yet, so don't worry about it, let's just find somewhere that's decent, and then it will work it out. So yeah, that's what we did.
Well, that worked out great for you guys, didn't it? When I set up, I remember thinking, I think it does work out. I'm a big believer in faith. I'm a religious person, as you guys are as well. You can call it innate, you can call it the universe, you can call it whatever you want. But I think that we're kind of led towards the area, especially if you set up yourself, because I wasn't looking where I was looking. I was like, looking everywhere around it, and then this one building turned up, and I was like, okay, look there. And there was, I think it was 28,000 people without a chiropractor in the town, and no osteopath in the town. And I was like, well, I guess that's it then. And it all just fell into our situation. And I think it was on for 400,000, the house was, and they took 260,000 thanks to my dad. I know. So I couldn't really say no. I was like, okay, we'll do that. And so I think it is a part of it, partly led, but that's if you believe that chiropractic is. I think it's chiropractors that believe they were made to be a chiropractor. I feel like I'm like that. I don't know if you do. And chiropractors that do it just because it sounds like a good career opportunity. Where did you fit on that schedule?
I came into it by default. Yeah. I didn't realise I was to be a chiropractor until I was really in it. And then as the years go by, I'm like, I was so destined to do this. I wish I'd started. I was 28 when I started studying. I really wish I'd started when I was younger. But no.
You wouldn't be the same though, would you? You wouldn't be the same sort of.
No, I had so many rubbish jobs that even my worst day in the clinic is way better than the 2 years I spent at McDonald's, or the year, on the building site, or all these awful jobs that you wouldn't want to do anymore.
When you set up on yourself, and this is a worry that a lot of people have, especially new graduates, what would you do if you weren't sure something, or something went wrong in the clinic, someone complained? What would you do? I think you had a mentor at the time, didn't you? You started off with a mentor.
We started off with Terry Chimes, same as you, and we just asked questions. we did invest. It was quite a bit of money at the start to pay every month for him. But I just on the phone to him all the time. What about this? What about that?
Yeah, Simon if you ever go to any chiropractic conference, Simon sat right at the front, and he's the one with his hand up all the time. This guy is not shy of asking questions, and I think that's one of the things that's pulled us through hard times, because he will ring the mentor up late at night or email and go, do you know this has happened and I've just got a question about that. And so he's just not shy. And at the end of the day, you're paying them. If you have a mentor, you're paying them to glean everything that you can from them.
And I like Sloppy Success or something along those lines. Ryan Reeder, who has several practices down in London, he has just grown this 7 practices business. He's only been in practice like me, like 9-10 years. And he's basically saying you're not ever going to be totally on it. You're never going to know everything, do it all right. So don't beat yourself up if you don't know it all. You will make mistakes and learn from them. Just move on.
I think that's the new thing. Have you read that book, Ready, Fire, Aim? And it talks about how...
But that sounds a good one to read.
Because I think that's what we do a lot of times. We start like I didn't have the mentor. I wasn't with Terry for the first 3 years, I think it was, and so I didn't have Terry and Bryn then. So I kind of just like phone friends up or just trying to figure it out by myself. And I think that's a lot of it. You fire, and then you're like, oh, I've got to aim it now. I've got to figure it out. So Janet, you handled the front desk and children and house and running everything. What processes did you have down before you started? Did you borrow Terry's processes, or did you develop your own?
We did a little bit of both. When we first rented the room, we had a receptionist, the dental receptionist. So I couldn't give her any major front desk tips because she already had her own nest built. So she was literally just answering the phone and booking an appointment. We did a lot of research of what was available out there online, what we could find, sort of scripting ideas, marketing ideas. But I think to have that mentor right from the very beginning was key for us, because then we weren't wasting money and time, because I was going to be out of action once this baby was going to be born. And so, it was standing outside the supermarket in the rain, because it rains in England all the time, obviously, handing out leaflets.
It's
handing out leaflets in the rain, Caldwell Chiropractic, front desk, I didn't have much autonomy over at all at the very beginning. But now, I'm on it, all over it, yeah.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Honestly, it's a pity in a way, but I get all the credit because I'm the chiropractor, and I think it's it's like a 50-50, the amount of effort that Jeanette's put in over the years, even just supporting me before we even opened the clinic. Getting through 4 years of chiropractic university is tough, really tough, and so many times you're like, oh, I'm never going to do this, and she's just always there. She's got my back.
And circling back to what you said, I think we were both very lucky. Jen helped me set up and helped me through university, and I couldn't have done it. It was no way. The clinic was actually mostly her, because front desk is where everything happens. The chiropractor is just the reason they came here, but they actually enjoy coming to see front desk. And,
absolutely. Our patients they love spending time. Sometimes we're almost like, move on, we need to, we've got to crack on.
When they're turning 40 minutes for their appointment and they're still here 10 minutes after,
I know, I remember reading once or hearing once that people will stick with a bad chiropractor, but they'll never stick with a bad receptionist. And if you've got a good receptionist, you can cover up a multitude of associate problems. Yeah. And you were talking about earlier on the pre-call about how you've just managed to get rid of one that was bringing the clinic down a little bit. Just tell me a little bit, without mentioning the person, obviously. I know you wouldn't anyway.
Sure.
But what sort of things were causing you problems, or what have caused you problems with other people in the past might be a better idea.
In the past, we've had CAs come and go. They don't tend to stay more than a few years, and that's okay. That's the way it is. And some things that have gone wrong with some members of staff before were one member of staff thought it was beneath her to pick a crisp packet up off the floor because it was not written into her contract.
How long did she last?
Not much longer. Too long.
That's the problem, though, isn't it?
A lot of the problems, I think, if I'm honest, are me, because I'm not a manager. I'm not trained to be a manager. I'm just learning this on the job. And so if a CA behaves a certain way, it's because I've allowed them to do so. And I've not picked up on it soon enough and sat them down and said, you're doing great at this, but the way you spoke to me there is not appropriate, or the way you spoke to the patient wasn't right. This is the way we want you to work. And I've probably tolerated too many things and let them develop into the person we don't want them to become.
Yeah, absolutely.
Staff will always work up to what you allow them, and it's like children, isn't it? If you allow it, it'll just and then it'll spread throughout everybody else as well. And I think that's a big problem with caring professionals. You're a caring people, and I'm a caring person. So we hate firing people. I hate it. But I do actually feel. Have you ever had to, when you fire somebody, then afterwards you leave the building, you're like, oh, it's awful, and then you're like, party. You feel so much better afterwards.
You do, and you have to just be devoid of it, because the most important thing is your family and your business. And if your business isn't thriving, you can't provide for the family and the things that you want to do with that family. And so everything is in a complete round, and you just have to have a really open mind that letting that person go is actually the best thing all around.
It's nerve-wracking because sometimes they form such an integral part of a team, and you think, how will we survive if they go? Because they are doing this, and this, although we don't like all these other things, and then they go and you have an uncomfortable time, and then a month or two later you're like, why didn't we do that earlier?
So yeah, just having the guts to get rid of them, or not get rid of them, but when they leave.
I got told recently the team that get you to 50 a week aren't going to be the same team that get you to 150, and those aren't going to be the same that get you to 300 or whatever your goals are. And they often will leave of their own accord because they don't like it. They wanted the quiet life when it was just 100 a week.
I've said that many times as well, but I've had one staff member that has been able to and pushes to get higher. And I don't own that clinic anymore, but basically she ran it when I left, and that's just one though. But all the other ones, it's exactly right. They tend to change. They don't like it. It's uncomfortable for them. They were comfortable before. People don't like change. If you can find somebody who likes change, they're the best associate and the best. The one that goes, let's try that.
Yeah, in the 9 years that we've been practicing, we have changed so much from half-hour appointments to
yep, same here.
One bench and no equipment to to something that's now all singing, all dancing, and we move at such a faster pace. And if you bring them on, they don't like change, and they'll find their own way out in the end.
So how long are your appointments now, if you don't mind me asking, on average for a regular treatment?
5 minutes.
Seems to be about standard. And you use a T-bar system as well, don't you?
That's right.
Yeah.
So we tell the patients your appointment's going to be about 15 minutes. By the time they've chatted to reception, we've got some wobble cushions on some benches, so they do some stretches and loosening up. They have a few minutes lying face down. So they've done all of that, so the spine's a bit better prepared. So I come along and do the adjustments, check exercises. So I'm with them for 5, but their experience in the clinic is longer.
15.
Yeah.
And I use a similar system. I use a 3-room system, so they're with me for a shorter period of time, but then I use a modality like acupuncture or interferential or laser, and I go into a different room, whereas you go around the other side of the T-bar, don't you? You treat them, then go to the other side, someone's there, and come back, someone's there. Yeah. So I think that's a great way, because marketing is energy, and keeping patients equate time with money a lot of the time, even though it doesn't make any sense. And so that extra bit of wobble cushions, talk to reception, lying down makes the difference.
You don't ask the dentist to drill any longer, do you? Because you're paying a £200 bill or whatever.
We just accept it. But a lot of it, like you said, is in our own head, right? It took me ages to change my own head.
Yeah, and I think as soon as when we decided to make these big decisions of T-bar and price increase and reducing the adjustment time, as soon as we and the clinic became transparent and comfortable with our changes, because this is the way clinic is run, that's okay. It released a lot of stress and tension of like, oh no, we've got to get the patients in, we need their money, as soon as we just relaxed and became transparent, this is how much an adjustment costs, this is our plan of care, 15 minutes for your appointment, the patients go, oh okay, does that make sense, being transparent?
Yeah, and being just, this is what it is. Yeah, you're not.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, and if they're not interested, I think people who chase money never make it. If you're always trying, like, oh, I've got to get this person in, and they can see that, and just say no. We're 15 minutes. You pay about 5 minutes treatment. There you go. This is what we do. If it's not for them, that's fine.
Yeah, and we all go, that's absolutely fine. Let me give you some numbers of some other chiropractors in the area.
We've had a member of the staff that's recently left, and I think they really resisted any of the last few changes we've been doing, T-bar, shorter appointment times, wobble cushions, and because they didn't like it, that really had a knock-on effect on the patients, and they'd always say in staff meetings, oh, patients don't like this and patients don't like that. The person left and it's just gone whoosh.
Never heard a patient say anything.
Yeah.
I think my one piece of advice to people setting up by themselves is make sure your front desk staff is hopefully married to you. And then and then after you've got that sorted out, fire quicker is probably the one. Get rid of quicker, because I held on too long to people. I don't know if you've experienced the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just because you're inherently kind. Chiropractors are kind people. They want to heal the world with their hands. And the last thing you want to do is to fire someone. But if you want to improve so that you can serve more people, you've got to let that bad egg go.
This could have been a podcast on firing people, because I think it was one of the big issues that are coming up. But first of all, what would you say to people setting up for the first time that they need to think of, coming straight out of uni? What do they need to think of, and what don't they need to think of?
Work your backside off. And one of the big things we did only a couple of years into practice is we employed an employment law specialist, because employment law changes month in, month out of what you are and what you aren't allowed to do. So we just pay a little bit every month, which covers us for a 24-hour helpline. They do our contracts for us. I know nothing about contracts and stuff like that. And so if I can pay somebody to take that headache away, do it, and then I can concentrate on what I know I'm doing. So that was huge. So if ever there was a problem with contract, not a problem. I'll just call my people, So that was one of the best things that we've done. So if you can find anybody that you can employ that can do something that you know nothing about, just do it, like employment law.
I had the same thing. We used to spend, Jen used to spend a whole day, nearly 18 hours, doing the wages each month and figuring it all out. And you know how much it costs to do the wages per person? £6 in the UK per person, and we got like 5 people at that point. It's £30.
Pay your accountant to do your receipts, to do your wages, and then you have got more time to concentrate on what's important.
Maybe not right at the start, but
we did it all ourselves at the beginning.
We employed an associate a few years ago, and they're a lovely guy, good chiropractor, but I think a lot of the new people into chiropractic have this assumption that because they see someone else who's working 3-4 days a week and having a comfortable life, that they deserve that too. But it usually takes years and years to get to that point, and a lot of hard work, some years where you're hardly making much money at all. And so to not expect instant success, it's a slow process,
This. I've often heard it described as, it's amazing how many years it takes to be an instant success. And that's so true.
A chiropractor just coming out of university doesn't have the right to instant success. You have got to put the hard work in. You've got to. You know, you either work for someone else and get 30%, 40%, 50%, whatever, and that's your wage, because that's what you've decided. If you want to set up on your own, get a loan, but work your backside off.
I think we're getting a lot.
Serve it.
I think we're getting a lot of that recently, because in England it's 100%. I'm getting people all the time going, I need a new associate. I need an associate, and as such, the associates have become a little bit entitled. Is what I keep hearing, and they're not. It's not preparing them for real life. So that I get lots of. I actually help get people from America over to England, because it's the opposite here. There's too many chiropractors, and so people want to go and work in England because it's better money. Just for a couple of years to see what it's like. And it's amazing the difference between thinking that you're owed something and thinking you aren't owed something. People seem to be far happier with the ones, and you can get that in England, the people that don't think that, but it's just rarer because they're snapped up straight away. And I think that's something to pay attention to when you're setting up. Your first associate might be very difficult unless you've got a mentor with you. I don't know what you...
So you get one rubbish one, two okay, and one really good one, and it's that sort of
that mix.
25, 50, 25 rule.
I think Terry used to say that. I think I've heard that before.
He used to say stuff like that. Yeah.
And to be fair, that is very true. That is very true. I've found that to be the case many times. Now, there was something else I wanted to ask you that was very important. What's the most important thing for the chiropractor who's setting up to have, either mentally or physically, to make it a success as their own clinic?
A good wife. No, I'm joking.
I think
or a good husband.
Why.
It's either way.
There's a great book, First Start With Why. You've got to have a strong enough why. You know, I go to work because I have a family to support. I go to work because I love to help people, and I see the suffering and know chiropractic can help them. And when your why is strong enough, the how doesn't matter too much.
I think that's.
If your philosophy is strong, if you understand why, then the technicalities get easier.
Now, I could speak to you all day, and I'm probably going to speak to you in a second when we've finished this anyway. But I know you have to go at some point. Would you, having known everything you've known, would you still do it the same way? Would you set up straight from university?
Given my age, yes. I think if I was a young man, if I'd have graduated at like 22, I might have, certainly if I didn't have the family support and I could be a bit more mobile, I might have worked for a few good clinics that I trusted and then set up. But I knew where we set up, I wanted to stay, so yes.
You do it exactly the same. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Simon and Jeanette. This is Paul from InstantChiro. Love you all above, down, and inside out. So I just finished filming the podcast with Simon and Jeanette Goff about setting up straight after you come out of university. But of course, there's lots of stuff that happens before and after the podcast that some of you are interested in. So if you want to, stick around for that. If not, don't worry. You've seen the good stuff anyway.
Amputated.
You had to have your hamster's leg amputated?
Yeah, absolutely.
How did that happen?
And she had a compound fracture. And took her to the vet, and he was like, yep, you need to put her to sleep or pay 150 quid to have it amputated. And I was like, dude, we're in the wrong business. Chiropractic, we used to be a vet. 150
Right.
So we decided we'd have her put down. Even though she's only a few months old, we thought that would be the best thing. And then when we took her, we said goodbye, made her, we all wrote a little note to her and stuff. Took her to the vet today at 8:30 on my way to clinic with Astrid, who's 8. It was her hamster. And the veterinary nurse said, I've had a look at Meep's notes. She's called Meep, the hamster. and because she's healthy, would you hand the rights over so that I could have her?
So what does he say?
I'll have her as a pet. So she wanted to, the nurse wanted to know if she could have her as a pet instead of putting her down. And the thought of somebody else having my hamster was like, no, it's all right. So I paid 150 quid. He had her leg chopped off.
How old are each of your kids? You mentioned Tyke's 12 now.
Okay, so have you got long enough for that? Okay. So Tyke's 12, Zeffie is 8, Jackson's 8, Taylor is 5, Tegan is 3, and Avison is 1.
1 already?
Yeah, and then we've got 2 dogs that are 3 and 2 months, and a cat.
But no 3-legged hamster?
No 3-legged hamster, no. So did you end up paying £150 to keep the leg of take the leg of the hamster off?
Show you this, look.
Have you got the hamster there? I really want to see the hamster.
No.
I'll show you the picture of the hamster and the operation.
So they gave Astrid this. So Meep's Adventures, and then you've got like images of her. Let me find the one. Images of her being. I can't see it. Images of her being put to sleep.
Oh my
goodness. And they've actually got images of the procedure.
They're giving it to a child. There you go, have nightmares.
This is a bit gruesome. Do you want to see it? And she's like,
it is being chopped off.
Tying the ear. Oh my goodness. Where's my leg gone?
She is in recovery.
That looks one angry hamster, actually. That's it doesn't look happy.
They shaved her off. So yeah, that I did. I paid 150. But this week was our best financial day. Yesterday was it yesterday?
Best since opening up the clinic.
Since opening the clinic.
Oh, I won't keep this in. I'll blank it out, obviously. But how much was it, if you don't mind me asking? In one day.
In one day, yeah.
Is it just you working, or
comes to me and says, "I'm not sure about chiropractic as a career. Will I be able to support the family?"
Yeah.
Was that just you working, Simon, or was the other people?
Say that again.
Was it just you, or was there other people?
Yeah.
Just Simon.
Yeah, I mean, those big bumper days are a lot of people prepaying as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's going to be quiet. Yeah, we have about 50% of people pay up front, at least. Sometimes more.
But we do a full-on. We've got the CLA Insight scanner, so we do X-ray scans and stuff for the first appointment, and then we do a full-on doctor's report, with a half-hour PowerPoint, and then all of that. So we try and do as much as we can, and then just give it back to them and say, "This is you can go home with your results, or you can join us for care."
I'm a big fan of that. I always think I know you spent lots of time doing spinal screenings and things in the past, but I'm always a big fan of the best. You do a brilliant examination with X-rays, and if you got the station as well as the station, you do a great report of findings that's really there, and then people know what it is, and they're going to just stay. I think I had one person in 3 years say they didn't want to take care. The last 3 years, you know what I mean? It doesn't happen if you do that.
Yeah.
I'd rather put my energy into that and keep the person than I would put into advertising or Groupon or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. We've done Groupon before, and it's been a nightmare, and it's more of a knee-jerk reaction sometimes.
Yeah, I'm panicking, gone slow. Quick, let's get Groupon on.
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas we only really do like 2 spinal screenings.
2 big ones.
2 big ones a year, and we've just been invited to a massive event that's only been going for 4 years. It's huge, so they sell out in one day all their tickets. It's like this big rugby event, and so we're just going to go and do our first one there with all the new team. So you got new T-shirts printed and new banners and stuff like that. And I think it's not only a good day for getting 30, 40 new patients booked in, but it's it just builds the team again more. You know, it's a different day out for the team, and it's, you know, it's a good day out for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think so, and if you're going to do it, you might as well do it big. So you get 30 or 40 new patients, as opposed to doing it every other weekend and getting 3. It's not. There are more efficient ways of doing it, isn't there? Yeah, it's awesome over here. But no, I run a round table over here once every 2 months, I think it is. If you come over, you can count it as CPD and get your ticket price back, of course. And I won't charge you anything, but you could count it as CPD and business orientated. Or come over. I was with Billy DeMoss the other day. You know Billy DeMoss organises CalJam. Yeah. And CalJam is huge. It's the biggest. It's bigger than Chiro Europe. So I think it's about 1,000 to 2,000 chiropractors and the families there, and it's a big party. He spends 200. I think he said 250,000 on the lighting every year, just the lighting alone. Because it's a rock concert as well as a chiropractic event. So come over for that, and then come up to our house. We're only like 6 hours from there.
I told you about this last year. I managed to combine a lot of exciting things. So I turned 40 last year. So I cycled from my clinic in Yorkshire to a chiropractic conference in Paris, where I served my mission.
I saw that on YouTube, on Facebook.
Managed to do 2 of the days with Nick Delve. And then another chiropractor who's in our stake. So
it just cut out then. So you went from England to Paris cycling with 2 other chiropractors, is that right?
Yeah, well, they stuck with me for 2 of the days.
Yeah.
But I cycled the rest on my own.
Oh, I know. Who was the other chiropractor? Besides Nick Delve, who was the other chiropractor?
It was Nick Delve. Adam Wilkie.
Why do I think I know Adam Wilkie?
He's a chiropractor from Huddersfield.
Well, I can tell. I'll say this to Nick Delve. I don't know Adam Wilkie, but Nick Delve, you're a letdown. Only going 2 days. Oh, what a wuss. Why did he not go all the way to Paris with you? His wife wears all the trousers there.
I mean, it's only in French. I mean, for goodness sake.
I know, it's just a few 100 miles. Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk to you about your clinic a bit more in a minute, because I'm going to start this off like all professional and stuff. So I'm going to ask you about setting up. Yeah. I know you're like, bottoms, fart, and then I'll be like, hello, and today on InstantChiro.